right, people, it's Thursday, the 7th of November, 2024. It's 1 p.m. here in Germany. This is the Insanity Report for today. And I've got to tell you guys, this is the week of gifts that keep on giving. So Donald Trump gets elected. A fucking awesome, right? Awesome. And then, here in Germany, the German government breaks up. So that is great, because the German government, as I've told you guys numerous times, is basically like the Democrats, right? They're leftist ideologues, and if they're not on the left officially, they're captured by the leftist ideology. Now, you're going to have to stay with me here a little bit, because trying to explain this system to you guys is going to be a little bit more difficult. And for all my German people out there that know about this better than I do, feel free to correct me in the comments if I've gotten anything wrong. But yesterday or last night, the so-called stoplight government, and the reason why it's called the stoplight government is because the colors of the parties decide the makeup of the government, right? So here in Germany and most of European countries, they have a parliamentary system where there are more parties than just two. Any party that gets over 5% of the vote is either going to be part of the government or the opposition, right? So they will be there. They got voted in by the people, but they'll either be opposition or they'll be government. Anything below 5% doesn't get in, right? So 4 years ago, the SPD, the FDP, and the Greens made a coalition, right? None of those parties were the strongest party. They were just able to form a majority, and that's all you need. And so a lot of times in this country, the parties get put in positions of power, even though they were by far not the strongest voted for party. So it's not really a democracy. Actually, it's almost not even close, because the fact is that the will of the voter gets basically overlooked. What happens is the voters vote on different parties, and the heads of the party, they basically try to find a majority in government in order to be able to rule, in order to get power, right? And those makeups are generally not I wouldn't say generally, but this last time was not a picture-perfect rendition of what the people actually voted for. So what happened is, in order for these parties to get power, they're completely not aligned on policy whatsoever, right? Not at all. None of them, right? They're not aligned on policy, but they're ideologically aligned. So the only thing that these people have gotten done is things that go along with their ideology, but they've done nothing for the German economy. They've done nothing really for the German people that voted for them. They've only got through ideological projects such as flooding Ukraine with money that we don't have, some sort of queer LGBTQ law that allows people to change their sex every year legally. And they have done their ideological climate projects, which have just cost the German economy a shitload of money. When it comes to policies and real issues, they cannot get along. They cannot make decisions. And for months, these three parties have been fighting about the next year's budget. And in Germany, there's a law, and also it's written in their coalition contract. So when they make a coalition, they make a contract that all of them have to stick to, right? By law, basically. Or it's over. The government falls, right? And so they have to stick to this. And so they made, in their coalition contract, a debt handbrake, right? So they can't go over a certain amount of debt, bad for the country, bad for inflation, and they are not to take up any more debt than this cap on the debt, right? So that's the handbrake for the debt, and the finance minister is the person that controls that. Without his blessing, his name is Christian Lindner, without his blessing, there basically won't be any money freed up, right? So they can make plans within the budget, but anything over the budget is going to be up to the finance minister to say, yes, we'll go into debt for this issue. And generally, the only issues that allow the country to go into more debt are emergencies. And of course, here you go. All of the other parties, except for the party of the finance minister, see the situation that Germany is in at this moment as an emergency, which they're right. There are a lot of things that are emergencies. We need drastic infrastructure renewal because the bridges are falling down. We need to stop the illegal immigration drastically because it's costing us way too much money. And also all kinds of other problems and issues, including a much higher crime rate. So there are things that the government needs to do, but they also want to finance Ukraine even more. And so there's all of the parties have their different pet projects that they want to get through, and none of this can happen without breaking this debt handbrake, right? Without letting that go. And the finance minister didn't want to let it go, right? He said, no, my job is to keep harm from the German people. That's what's his oath, that's his mandate. And it's also unconstitutional to break the debt handbrake, to take away the debt handbrake, right? It's unconstitutional unless you can justify some sort of emergency. And the finance minister, because the government has already been sued last year by the CDU party, the opposition party, about this same issue, right? And the Supreme Court of Germany basically said, no, you cannot take Corona money, COVID money, and put it to all these other projects in order to fill the gap in your budget. That's not going to work. So that left them with a giant gaping hole in the budget, right? And now they want to, again, the only way to be able to do all the shit they want to do, which none of it really benefits the German people. Let me tell you that. If you want to investigate it, go for it. Otherwise, you're going to have to take my word for it because I live here. Basically, none of it will help the German people. And they're holding the country hostage because basically what they're saying is unless we get this money we need for Ukraine, or unless we actually not only Ukraine, unless we get all the money that we need to do all the things that we want, we're going to let the German people just fucking drop dead, right? We're done. That's it. The government crashes. And so then none of these things get done, right? Now, I'm happy the government has broken up. It means that they're basically a lame duck until the time of new vote, until the time we get to vote again. Because, and this part's going to be a little bit tricky, right? I'll stick to one thing at a time. So when the government breaks up, that means that basically the people have to vote again in order to get a new government in there that will be able to make a majority. But the current government can also choose not to have new voting as long as they can get their mandate through with one of the opposition parties. And there's no chance that any of the opposition parties, except for the CDU, will go along with breaking this debt handbrake, so to speak, right? They're not going to go along with it. And the CDU might. I'll tell you why that is in a minute. And if they can get that to happen, then they don't need to have new voting right away because they've been able to, they've been able to do their mandate. They're able to make the budget for next year. And if they can't make the budget for next year, then that's it. Then there's going to be new voting even sooner. Right. So since the FDP, the finance minister's party, has now been kicked out of the coalition by the Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, because they refuse to let go of the debt handbrake, right? That's what happened, okay? Now, the Chancellor of Germany has said, okay, we're going to break the government up. We're going to kick out the finance minister. He's fired because he's not willing to go along with breaking the handbrake for the debt. He wants to keep the security, no debt, no extra debt. They're going to have to work it out. And some of their pet projects, maybe Ukraine, is just going to have to stop getting finances because otherwise they can't make it work within the budget. Long story short, they can't make it work within the budget. So the finance minister is fired. Therefore, his party is out of the coalition. And therefore, the other two remaining parties, which are the Green Party and the SPD, no longer have a majority, which means the government's done. Now, I love it, and I think a lot of people in Germany do, because most people in Germany hate this coalition of government. They hate it. They see that they've put Germany into financial ruin. The economy has 0% growth for this year and planned for next year. And now they want to take on more debt with no growth in order to help do the Ukraine and their climate ideological bullshit projects that nobody fucking wants anyway, right? So the people are basically like, yeah, it's your guys' job to figure it out and maintain the budget and do it. But they can't without getting rid of the handbrake for debt. So they can't do it. And so now they broke up the government, which to me is fucking fantastic. It's super exciting. I love seeing these people bicker and fight with each other, and then they get nothing done. So they can't destroy any more shit. Now, they're also not fixing the bridges. But let me tell you, they wouldn't be doing that anyway, even if they got the money, because they haven't been doing that for the last 30 fucking years. And that's why the bridges are all so fucked up as they are, as it is, right? So I know it's complicated, guys, but stay with me, right? Because in the end, it's going to be important for the American people listening, because in the end, this is all your guys' fault, okay? I'm telling you. This is your guys' fault. And I told you the other day when Trump won, I told you it would be, right? Now I'm going to tie this in good, I promise, right? So the only way that the remaining parties in the government can now get their shit done and do the budget for next year is by getting support from one of the opposition parties. And the people that they're trying to get to support them in this is the CDU, because the CDU knows that most likely they will be the winning party in election time next fall, right? They will be one of the parties with the highest numbers, and so therefore it will be up to them to form a coalition they can work with. And since they refuse to work with the right, which is the AFD, there's only going to be a certain amount of parties left that they could work with, and one of those is the SPD, which is currently in power, which currently is the Chancellor's party. So what the Chancellor did is he went to the head of the CDU and said, listen, we know, and you know, that you guys are probably going to get the most votes next year. We know that our party has been basically puked out by the public and won't get voted in next year, but we think we'll get enough votes to get into the government at least. So when you form a coalition, in order to not have to work with the right, which are also going to get lots of votes next year, right? We will work with you for sure if you work with us now. That saves the CDU from having to break their firewall against the right-wing party, right? Because that would be their choice. They would have to, because it's looking like the AFD is going to get a lot of votes, right? And so the CDU will have a big problem because they refuse to work with the AFD, but they may be put in a position where that's the only party that they can work with in order to get a majority and still be in power. Now the SPD has offered them a way out. They've said, look, so that you guys don't have to face that, we will work with you, and we're sure that we'll get enough votes to at least form a majority with you. And then maybe we have to take on the Green Party or somebody else to make the full majority. But you won't have to work with the AFD. Now, I thought that the CDU was going to go with this. I thought that would be a good deal for them. But apparently, the boss of the CDU, which is named Friedrich Merz, he has kept his foot down. He put his foot down. He has balls, apparently. Now, I don't know if it's 100% sure yet, right? Things can change for sure. But he's basically said, no, we're not going to go along with you guys on any shit and figure it out. And that means that they're done, right? That means there will probably be new elections in March, maybe even earlier, maybe even next week. You know what I'm saying? If the other parties push it hard, right? But end of the story is this government is finished. They've been in all the state elections. They've been voted completely into the ground. Nobody wants them anymore. The public has spoken, and just like in America, the public said, no more ideological leftist woke fucking trans bullshit craziness. We're done with the lunacy. We're done. Right? And you parties, it's your job to make sure we stay done. We're done. That's what they voted for in every state election so far. But the general elections are going to be a little different because the people in the West are not ready yet to vote for the right in mass numbers. It's going to have to hurt a little bit more for the Germans to figure out that that's going to be their only way out. So likely the CDU, which is supposedly the center party, the Christian, centrist conservative party, which they really aren't. They've gone also completely to the left. But that's what probably is going to take the lead next year, and they want to be in power. and so they might do a deal with the SPD after all. We'll see what happens, right? But moral of the story is, this is Donald Trump's fault, right? Because they've been talking about this budget shit for months. They haven't been able to get it together. They haven't been able to do it. They haven't been able to set the budget for next year. They can't do it. And they were okay with fucking dragging it out for as long as possible until Donald Trump got elected, and they know that the party in the Ukraine with our money is about to stop, right? And they feel like, the establishment parties I'm talking about now, they feel like, well, wait a second. We have to take responsibility now because America probably will not take any more responsibility for Ukraine. And so we're going to have to take responsibility. We need to be the leading figure in Europe, the leading country in Europe, to show the rest of the countries how it's done and how we support Ukraine and strengthen our own military. And suddenly, so they weren't planning on strengthening their own military or any shit if Kamala Harris got elected, because then they knew that the situation with NATO and the protection from the United States would still be there. And now with Donald Trump being there, they feel like they don't know. They think Donald Trump is going to pull everybody out of NATO, which of course isn't true. But I mean, he might do it. You know what I mean? If they can't get along, if they can't get their shit together, he might just do it. But the fact for Donald Trump is he wants to stay along in NATO. He doesn't want to have to foot the bill for everything that Europe does. So Europe has to work on their own defenses so that they can also stand on their own 2 feet and defend themselves in a case of a problem. Right now, Germany certainly can't, and a lot of other Western European countries also cannot. They rely on NATO. So now they want to suddenly start pumping more money into Ukraine. But what they're not taking into account, right, is that they don't need to put money into Ukraine. It's pissed away money. It's our fucking money. The people don't have the money to pay for this shit. The people do not want to go into more debt in Germany to pay for Ukraine, right? They don't want to do it. And they shouldn't have to. Okay? And that's the whole fight, right? Now, I'm sure there's other holes they have to fill in this budget. If Ukraine is gone, then there's probably still more things they have to look at. But they have to see that they work within the budget, just like everybody else. So they can't do that. Okay. So they're gone. It's over. Thank God for Donald Trump. But it's your guys' fault, because now you guys put pressure on him. By voting for Donald Trump, you put pressure on these poor German politicians, because now they have to act right now. What they're not taking into account, though, is that they could better save their money, because when Donald Trump gets in, they won't need to send any more money to Ukraine, because the war in Ukraine will likely be finished. Because that's what Donald Trump wants to do. He doesn't want to spend more money. He doesn't want to have the thing in Ukraine continue, right? And he's not going to, it's not going to be that Europe can just say, well, wait a second. No, don't put an end to the war. We're going to continue to finance you. There's no fucking way Donald Trump is going to go for that. Donald Trump wants the war to stop. He doesn't just want to not finance it anymore. He wants to stop it. That means that there will not need to be, no money has to go to Ukraine. No weapons have to go to Ukraine. But of course, the Germans want to be part of the rebuild, right, in Ukraine. Right? They want to be part of the rebuilding too, so they're going to have to put money in there. They want to secure themselves some lithium and shit. You know what I mean? And it's absolutely bananas that our whole country, the infrastructure in this country, the well-being of the citizens of this country have to suffer because of Ukraine, because the government just can't say, hey, we need to worry about our country now. I got a lot of problems, and we need to work within that budget to get those problems fixed. And maybe if they would have went to the finance minister and said, look, we don't have any more money for Ukraine, but our country needs drastic infrastructure renewal, that's an emergency in my book. I think they'd be able to get it through the Supreme Court to be able to stop the handbrake for that. But the presiding government, the ideologically captured leftist wokesters, will not let go of Ukraine. And so that's it. That's it. Thanks to their policy on Ukraine, now the German government is at a deadlock. Now the bridges are not going to be fixed. Now we're going to continue to see migrants pouring over the border that nothing's being done with, because the government doesn't have a budget for this next year. So everything is at a standstill, which for me personally, is great. I like it. It's haha to me. I love it. You know what I'm saying? If Germany gets to be too bad, I'm just going to fucking move. I've said that before, right? I'm just going to move. It'll be the end of it. But while it's still doable, I'll be here. I like my job here. It's okay. It's a good, not a bad place to live. The weather sucks a little bit. But if they fucking, take it too far and I can't stay here anymore, I'm gone. So, but for the regular people, this is, of course, a disgrace that this government is unwilling to get their fucking shit together and work for the people of Germany because of a foreign country that nobody even sneezed at fucking before they got invaded by Russia. Right? It's an absolute disgrace. These people are a disgrace. They are completely incompetent. And now they want to try to go to the Supreme Court with, well, Donald Trump got elected, so it's the Americans' fault. We have an even bigger emergency than we did before. And that's for Ukraine. That's a giant emergency. Yeah, but Ukraine isn't fucking Germany. Okay? So the finance minister knows that they will probably lose in court over this shit if they come up with this as a reason. If they go to the judges and say, hey, Germany has real big problems because we don't have enough money to help Ukraine. You know what I mean? And it's Donald Trump's fault. I don't think that's going to work. That's not going to work. So the good news is, thanks to Donald Trump, Germany is already being pushed in the correct direction. And the first part of this right direction, or the first part of this turning of the ship, so to speak, is to get rid of these establishment fucking morons that are so stupid, so woke, and so ideologically captured that they are incapable of carrying out the mandate to work for the people of Germany. These people are also servants, just like the politicians in America are. They're not bosses. They're servants. They're supposed to be out there doing what the German people voted them in to do, and their job is not to take care of Ukraine. Sorry. So the magic of Donald Trump is already flowing to Germany. I love it. I love it. This is exactly the kind of shit I want to see. And of course, the establishment and the German media are losing their shit over Donald Trump's win, because they know now it's going to be time to put on your big boy pants and get your own shit together and not rely on America for every fucking thing. So that's the end of a lot of their woke ass projects. And that's what I thought was going to happen. And it's already starting. So people, I hope you guys can understand that. I hope I explained it to you correctly enough. It does sound a little bit weird. If you have any questions, you can ask me and I will make a video answering your questions about it. And any of the subscribers out there that are from Germany and understand this system better than I do, you are welcome to correct me if I'm wrong and put it in the comments, and I will respond, definitely. If I'm wrong, I will correct it. So, there you go. That's it. Thanks to Donald Trump. 2 great fucking events this week. It's like the week of gifts that keeps on giving, people. I love it. And we'll see you guys next time around on the Insanity Report tomorrow on Friday. Guys, if you want to get my stuff directly in your inbox, then you can get all my content, all my articles, all the videos directly in your inbox. If you subscribe to the Substack below, you can do it for free. You can do it for $5 a month, which I'd greatly appreciate, of course. And all the content will come directly to your inbox, which of course is the easiest, since then you're not waiting on a notification that may not come or having to look for it on social media or whatever. You will get it and you can decide which of the things you want to watch or read. That's the simplest. Go for it. If you're watching this somewhere else, like on Rumble or X or TikTok or something, go ahead and follow me there. But the best thing you can do for me and for you is to go to it'sallaboutlogic.substack.com. Again, that's it'sallaboutlogic.substack.com. Follow me there, subscribe there for $5 a month or free, and you get it all. Guys, peace.